I love the Olympics. Every 4 years, my inner American pops out, and I'm reminded that I was born in the best goddamn country in the world. We got the most gold, silver, and bronze medals.
Who do you think you are? I am!
I think we have the most amount of athletes, so it's kind of like just statistics. But still, you can't help but root for your country, right? But one of the ways that the Olympics brings us all together is with its memes and all the funny shit that happens. Like when the pole vaulter from France ended up not qualifying because his schlong clipped the pole at this super serious event that only happens once every 4 years that people train their whole life to compete at, and he was literally cock-blocked in his home country. How could I not laugh at that? That's hilarious. And there was no better meme than when Rachel Reagan Gunn herself hit the stage and absolutely just blessed us with this beautiful performance. Yeah, this is just a clip, but how is this the best female breakdancer in all of Australia? Did you guys just find out about it, and some of the moves were just so crazy? You can't just be whipping out the knee sweepers like that in public, especially not at the national level. Like, what? Can't just be whipping out the kangaroo pose. Like, what was that? Ray Gunn does it at the Olympics and it's fine, but when I do it at the club, oh, it's Jason, you're scaring the hose away. And then it got even funnier when I found out she had a PhD in breakdancing. I didn't even know you could do that.
But
And
wait,
there's more. In the next few days, there was different tweets and TikToks saying stuff like, oh, her husband was a judge or that he was part of the selection committee, and that's how she got in. And there was even a change.org petition that ended up getting almost 60,000 signatures that accused her of starring the organization in Australia in charge of selecting who to go. And I guess what, she just chose herself? Like, I don't know how that makes sense, but we'll be taking a look at it. So I was really curious. She did perform really bad, but how did that turn into this big conspiracy with all these kinds of lies that spread about her? So much so that she just ended up getting a ton of baseless hate thrown her way. Like, how did that happen? So we'll be taking a look at things like, how did she even get to the Olympics in the first place? So that's where we're going to be starting today. Where did she come from? Where did she go? That was one of the biggest things that people were talking about. How did someone with this skill level manage to get to the Olympics in the first place? It'd be way too crazy if just anybody could show up to the Olympics the day of if they wanted to compete.
Meanwhile,
Was it like next week? I think I can make it.
1 week later.
Congratulations, Jason. You've actually managed to set a new world record for slowest mile ever recorded at the Olympics. Para, youth. I'm pretty sure even like my 4-year-old could go faster than you. Do you have anything you'd like to say? Honestly, shout out to my haters who said I couldn't do it. All right, you guys were right about this one. It was a good call from the haters. So normally there is some sort of qualifying event where people could go and only the best make it through and are able to represent their country at the actual Olympics. I think I saw a news article that said like 40% of Americans think they could compete at the Olympics, which is just so stupid. Half of you guys think you guys have what it takes? Really? So it's actually pretty easy to see like how Reagan qualified. It all started in 2018 when breakdancing was first introduced at the Youth Olympics. It was there to try to appeal to a younger audience, and it did work. So the International Olympics Committee, or the IOC, decided to try it out in Paris 2024. This is my interpretation of the IOC when they decided to add breakdancing.
Hello.
Breakdancing. The only problem is they didn't know how to go about making the selection process, so they put another organization, the World Dance Sport Federation, or World Dance for short, in charge of figuring all that out. So World Dance set up the rules in 2022 for how to qualify, and that there'd only be 16 countries competing, so 16 girls and 16 guys. The first way to qualify was by winning World Dance's World Championship held in Belgium in September 2023, and Reagan actually did go, but out of the 80 girls who competed, Reagan actually ended up getting 64th place, which I mean, it's not that bad. It's not last. The person who won was Dominika Benevic, who Reagan actually competed against in one of her 1v1s.
We move now to Reagan. Her opponent is the world champion, ranked number 2, B-girl Nika.
She obviously lost that one and all her other ones. Yeah, imagine getting like 0 points the first and second rounds, and the last person you go against is Benevic, and at the actual Olympics, she actually got silver.
Nika of Lithuania with silver.
But she still, she had a smile on her face. She still tried her best, at least, that's pretty good. She had fun. I mean, you have to actually be good, but she had fun. But a lot of people were saying like how, dang, she didn't manage to get a single point. She was so bad. How did she make it to the Olympics or whatever? But honestly, to her credit, she did manage to get some points. When you look at the actual scores, she did lose extremely bad, but in the individual categories, she did get some points, mostly in originality, which does make sense because it was definitely one of a kind. Alright, but back to the World Championship. Reagan wasn't the only Australian who competed at this event. Molly, Holy Moly Chapman, ended up getting second to last, so 79th place, and the reason why I mention her is because she's the other girl who might have replaced Reagan at the Olympics, and she will be popping up a little bit later, so keep her name in mind. And actually, I do have a video, so we could take a look at like her skill level. And just from this clip, it does look like she's definitely more athletic than Reagan, right? I don't think she would have won, but she definitely wouldn't have been like Reagan levels of bad. So I'm not really sure how she ended up getting lower than Reagan, not only in this competition, but also the other competitions we're going to be talking about. So the second way to qualify was through a continental qualifier. So in this case, World Dance put another organization in charge called the Australian Breakdancing Association, or Oz Breaking. So they're in charge of putting on the regional qualifying event. So the World Dance Oceania qualifier was announced the same month in September, and it happened just a month later. And this was how Reagan actually qualified for the Olympics, because
After making it to the top 8, they 1v1'd each other until the final round was Molly versus Reagan.
and Reagan actually just won.
Reagan 2-1. Wow, it's tight. It came down to the last round.
So she won overall, and she ended up qualifying for the Olympics. But also, I do want to mention that at this event, there were only 37 males competing and 15 females. So not a lot of competition, honestly. And then the last way to qualify was by going to the Olympic breakdancing qualifier that was in Shanghai and Budapest in 2024, where second, third, and fourth from the women's Oceania qualifier went, including Molly, but none ended up qualifying. All right, so after explaining all that, we could talk about the biggest reason why this all happened. So the whole organization of everything was to blame. So really, the Olympics is to blame because they put World Dance in charge, and they don't even know shit about breakdancing. They're primarily a ballroom dancing organization. They've been putting on ballroom dancing competitions for like decades now. That's their expertise. They don't know shit about breakdancing. They were originally trying to get ballroom dancing into the Olympics, and when that didn't work, because ballroom dancing is boring, so they did the old fake it till you make it and went, we could do breakdancing too. And the Olympics fell for it, despite them not having like any presence in breakdancing. And after that, World Dance started to have breakdancing competitions to have some sort of rankings and to keep track of all their breakdancers. And it's the same thing with Oz Breaking. They're a fairly new organization. And this is where you get the information that she was first place in all of Australia in 2020 and 2021. And this information was actually even mentioned at the Olympics.
The top-ranked B-girl in her nation in 2020 and in 2021.
And we could actually take a look at those rankings. So yeah, she was first place in this particular association, but we could see there's just not a lot of people who signed up back in the day, you know, when it first started. What, you call this all of Australia?
I mean, let me ask the audience.
And then in 21, not a lot of people, same thing. At least not a lot of girls. So essentially you have a random group of people with World Dance who decided if you wanted to go to the Olympics, you had to sign up with them and also pay them. Did I mention there was like a membership fee? So at least for the girls, maybe the people who were at the top, they didn't want some random ass association to dictate and control everything because they didn't have any presence in the actual scene. Or two, maybe they just didn't even know how to participate. The best bet for them would have been the Oceania qualifier put on by Oz Breaking, and that was only announced with a month's notice. And also the fact that they're a new organization, people maybe just didn't know they were in charge. And outside of that, imagine how much they would have had to pay out of their pocket to go to some random ass country and compete against actual best people in the world to qualify. So it 100% makes sense that the pool of breakdancers was so narrow that Reagan managed to slip by. She legitimately did win and met the requirements to go to the Olympics. But what about everything else that was being said about her? How did that happen? Which leads us to part 2, misinformation. First of all, she doesn't even have a PhD in breakdancing. She has a PhD in cultural studies. One of her papers was about breakdancing, but still, she doesn't have a PhD in breakdancing. So that's already like misinformation, you know? This was like one of the most universally thought facts, like, oh yeah, Reagan, she has a PhD in breakdancing. But even that's a lie. Everything was like sort of a lie. I bet 100% of us saw at least one Reagan clip of the compilation, the cuts between some of her funny moves. And honestly, that's not a fair representation just because you could cut anybody out of context. Even like the people who won had some goofy moves every now and then that if you were to just look at those, yeah, they would be kind of funny. And how many of us actually watched one of her rounds? And overall, it was more of a normal routine with just the weird moves sprinkled in. Yeah, she lost. She's not as technically skilled as them. But yeah, also, she just did some goofy moves. But August 9th, so she performed. And it quickly blew up. And how the internet works, everything that had to do with Reagan started blowing up too. And that included everything from memes about the whole situation to just straight up lies and misinformation. Stuff like this, TikTok began to spread and just began doing huge numbers just because it was about Reagan.
A petition has been circulated circulating demanding that Rachel Gunn, also known as Ray Gunn, be held accountable for their roles in the breakdancing debacle.
First of all, what's up with the random AI upscaled faces? Why does it keep zooming in on them? I'm just so confused. And even looking at the account who made it, it just screams credible, right? But still, I would watch this TikTok just because I'm nosy and I would want to know the drama. And it does make sense. Like, okay, this is after me looking at the clip of her dancing, right? So in my mind, I'm already thinking how bad she is. So yeah, maybe I would watch the TikTok and maybe it is true. Like, oh, maybe she did scam her way into the Olympics. So what do I know? But sometimes I would be like inclined to believe this random TikTok. And that's kind of the big problem with everything. Her scamming her way to the Olympics, part of it does make more sense than her being the best female breakdancer in all of Australia. So that's why sometimes, like, oh, maybe this is true. Maybe she did scam her way to the Olympics. And all the little clips of her dancing does not help because nobody's gonna clip her good moves, right? They're only gonna clip the bad moves, and that's all you watch is that's what you think that's how she performs. But actually looking at the TikTok,
Breakdancing, being such a niche sport in Australia, didn't have a formal governing body. So Rachel Gunn took it upon herself to create one. She appointed herself as the head of this newly formed governing body.
But no, she doesn't have anything to do with Oz breaking. It was actually founded by this guy, Lowell Napoleon, and he isn't just some random guy. He's actually good back in the day and competed. A member of SKB crew and has been breaking for over 2 decades, winning numerous titles, included Australian, BC1 champion, and 2-time Australian/Oceania Battle of the Year champion. He's actually like a breakdancer in the community.
And her husband took on the roles of both judge and coach for the qualifiers.
And at the actual Oceania qualifier, we could actually see who the judges were. And oh no, Reagan or her husband were in judges, so no, they didn't have anything to do with that. None of them were even Australian, so I mean, they're pretty unbiased. And also, speaking of her husband, he's a breakdancer himself. He looks like a white guy breakdancing. He looks like the whitest guy breakdancing. And yes, he was a coach, only because Reagan qualified and she was able to appoint, you know, the coach. And apparently he was the one behind the vision of the routine. So we have him to thank for some of the moves, like the kangaroo, or the knee sweepers, or the windmill into the floor work. That was one of my favorites, actually. You know, in her head, she was like, dang, I killed that shit. But let's take a look at the actual petition they're talking about, because this is kind of just a big summary of that. So after the Olympic breakdancing, only 2 days later, this person, someone who hates corruption, started this petition on change.org. And 2 days, that's really fast. Not them being obsessed with Reagan. And honestly, I don't want to suck my own titties or anything, but I'm kind of an investigative journalist or whatever. And when I was first researching, I came across the change.org petition, and I just knew I should screenshot it just in case. And it did end up getting taken down, but not before getting almost 60,000 signatures. And that's just so much people. Imagine being booty tickled over something that has nothing to do with you, that happened all the way across the world, but you're so mad that you watched this clip and decided to take action. It's giving get a life. It's giving, how about you sign the divorce papers, Jerry? She's not gonna take you back.
Life is worth living.
But if there's one thing I know about haters is that they love signing their little petitions. So this is what it says. We, the undersigned, call for immediate accountability and transparency in the recent actions of Rachel Gunn and Anna Mears in the selection process. Anna Mears, she's the chief de mission. I think she was in charge of the Australian athletes. So they're like, oh, it's her fault that she slipped by or something. I don't know. Rachel Gunn, who set up her own governing body for breakdancing, has manipulated the selection process to her own advantage. The first thing it mentions was that the selection process was sus. But we already covered that. Yes, it was organized poorly, but that had nothing to do with Reagan. She could have just Googled that. That would have literally been faster than starting this whole petition and typing this whole essay out. But whatever. It mentions Molly, who was number 2, and also G-Clef, who was number 4. Despite the clear talent and qualification of other outstanding female breakdancers, they were unfairly overlooked. No, they were just beat by Reagan. But the weird thing is, they mentioned the NT Yulong Boys, a group of incredibly talented and underprivileged youth from the Northern Territory, were denied crucial funding by Dr. Gunn to attend the qualifiers, a decision that directly impacted their chance to showcase their skills on a national stage. And when I try to Google them, the only thing that pops up is references to this change.org petition. So like, how did they know about them? Which is just like what? This is insider information that only this person had. So like, who is this person? How did this person both know more than just a random person on the internet? But they also didn't know that Reagan didn't have anything to do with any of this. And again, Reagan didn't have anything to do with any funding. So I don't know what they're on about. And then it goes on to say, like, disturbingly, she won. Disturbingly, Dr. Gunn went on to win her own qualifier, defeating other phenomenal breakdancers, raising serious questions about the fairness and integrity of the process. Her moves were that bad that they disturbed this person. That's just a funny word to use. news. So they do know that Raygun won. And if they do know that, they know that she beat Molly. So it's like they did do some research, but then the other stuff they just made up. So like, who is this person? Just crazy activity. They just made that stuff up. And there's no information who this person is, because when you click on the profile, it just says someone who hates corruption. But you do see that they're from Australia. So this is like literally insider information. It was an inside job. So let's think about this for a second. Who had the most to lose with Raygun winning? Molly, is this you? All right, just kidding, just kidding. I'm joking.
I'm joking.
It'd be funny if she was like her arch nemesis, that she started this whole smear campaign. That'd be really funny. And it does make a little sense because, like I said, this person had insider information and they're from Australia. So it makes me think they were in the Australian breakdancing scene and like kind of know about Raygun, or I don't know, which is just crazy that Raygun she dead ass has ops spreading misinformation about her in this like smear campaign or something. All right, I'm being a little dramatic, but like also not really. But she legit has haters for no reason. You could even see her Instagram comments that are just full of people saying stuff like, oh, you didn't deserve to go. Oh, you cheated your way to the Olympics, or the only reason you got in was because your husband was a judge. Just lies that people are bashing her about. Even if it was just a small percentage of people who were actually weird enough to go to her Instagram and comment, because Raygun was such a big thing, a small percentage of that big audience that found out about all that still leads to a lot of crazy people who just ended up dogpiling on her. And I could definitely see that being like a lot to handle, which brings us to part 3, snakes. Because, you know, because she had like a whole snake move, it's supposed to be funny, whatever.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But like I said, her Instagram is just full of people hating on her. But directly after her performance and before all the false rumors started, she broke her silence with this post. You see what I did there? Because she's a breakdancer? No, alright, that's fine. But it's a quote from Raygun. It was originally posted by the Oz Breaking account and was cross-posted by Raygun. But it'd be really funny if it was a post by Raygun just quoting herself. Actually, a little bit of Jason lore. I got a job by quoting myself. So there's something to be said, you know, great minds think alike or whatever. Just kidding, I don't know if I want to be compared to Raygun. Actually, she did end up going to the Olympics, so it's still cool. But under this post, the top comment you see is by @JosiahCyclist, who decided to write this long paragraph that nobody asked for, that said, as a 3-time Olympian who almost died twice in my journey to the Olympic Games, I feel the value of the Olympic brand has been severely diminished by this spectacle. The original Olympic motto is Citrus Altus Fortis, faster, higher, stronger, yet nothing about her performance remotely embodied the Olympic spirit. To make matters worse, she scored a grand total of 0 points, and she's from the nation with a proud sporting tradition. Let's think logically about this. Alright, first of all, nobody asked, plus not the trauma dump, but it is really interesting that out of all the controversies that happened at the Olympics, from the trans fear-mongering to allowing a convicted sexual assaulter to compete, specifically it was Raygun dancing, that was the thing that severely diminished the Olympic brand. But go off. I didn't even know the Olympics had a motto, which is kind of like, you know, some nerd shit to know. But looking it up, he conveniently left out the new part of the motto, faster, higher, stronger, together. So leaving this comment isn't really in the Olympic spirit either. But honestly, alright, the comment itself isn't even that bad. But what gave me the ick was who it was coming from. So it says, coach, 3-time Olympian, speaker, family, lifestyle, mindset. Mission, empowering human transformation. Book me live to cultivate an Olympic mindset. So this guy's a motivational speaker who sells the fact that, oh, he was once upon a time in the Olympics. So yeah, what about this is motivating? This guy's straight up just being a hater. And also, I didn't like the whole, oh, back in my day, you know, when I went to the Olympics 20 years ago, we wouldn't have let this fly. By my speaking engagement, oh, give me some money too, book me. Also, I looked into this guy and I could only find information about him going to the Olympics twice. I don't think it's something you'd like lie about just because, you know, that would diminish his credibility. So the 3rd time, maybe he just got tickets or something, I don't know. The fact that he does make money off of being an Olympic athlete, it is kind of sus. Because, yeah, 3 is better than 2, so if it helps him sell more, it helps him sell. So he's a motivational speaker. Everybody knows the first step to develop an Olympic mindset is to spend your time on Instagram just bashing people. So I just found it really interesting that he felt the need to join the conversation without even adding anything. It sort of just felt like an opportunity to mention he went to the Olympics. Like, he's the type of guy who just talks to some random people at the bar. Like, oh, did you know I went to the Olympics 20 years ago? I know this guy's the most obnoxious person on the planet. Every 4 years when the Olympics rolls by, even if he did win any medals, which he didn't, he'd wear them like 20 years later, hoping that people would mention it just to get any excuse to talk about himself. So his comment definitely just felt like a business move to try and sell his secret to the Olympic mindset, whatever that means. And he wasn't the only person to leave comments like that. Like this one, you have a hidden talent, hide it further. I'm not advocating for hate or anything, but if you're gonna hate, at least make it funny. Someone said she looks like a 5-year-old who goes up to you and says, "You wanna see me dance?" And then they end up doing like the randomest shit that you've ever seen. I don't know about you guys, but I get curious, like, who are the type of people to leave these comments? So sometimes I click on the profile to see like what I could find out about them. And that's exactly what I did with this account. I commented, "It's very important you know how badly you did at the Olympics," which is kind of funny because it's a step above just you did bad at the Olympics. It's like, you did bad and I hope you never forget, which is just like, it's some top tier bullying, I gotta say. So I knew this person was like a professional hater. They probably had that Olympic mindset that Joseph was talking about. And when I clicked on the profile, I found out that this account was just posts about Ray Gun. Every single one of the posts was just some negative article or comments about her, which we could actually see. I could understand being like a little crazy and leaving a hate comment. Maybe you're having a bad day or something. But to make a whole account dedicated to posting ray gun hate, that's just the weirdo behavior. That's actually crazy person activity. There's no reason to care this much about someone. And if you do care so much about a person, maybe like you do some research and see, oh wait, I'm wrong. What I learned was wrong. But to have a whole account with multiple posts is just crazy. They deleted their account, right? But the first time I looked back to see if the account was still there, it was. It wasn't showing up at first, but they just changed their name to Malia Babe. And they even had like a couple more followers than the first time I saw, and a couple more posts. But I saw that they had posted on their story, and I thought, you know, okay, I'm an investigative journalist, maybe I should look. But for some reason I was really scared because this is already like a certified crazy person. They could just be posting some random stuff on their account. But I'm a journalist, so I had to, you know, for the sake of information. And it was actually nothing weird at all. They just reposted this on their story of Molly winning a Red Bull breakdancing competition. This one's the moment she won. This is her getting her trophy. And then the next picture was, oh, picture of a couple on the beach. Maybe this was like someone they knew or something. No, I don't think so. But I clicked on the account and it's just, they seem to post a particular kind of picture with a specific type of subject. That was that was really interesting. That and the name change to Malia Babe makes me think that maybe they don't care all that much about breakdancing and the integrity of the sport. Maybe they're just a weirdo. Yeah, maybe they're just a weirdo. So yeah, the moral of the story is just don't trust someone who makes a holy moly fan account / ray gun hate account. Just don't. Actually, the real moral of the story is don't believe everything you see on the internet. I feel like as much as we know not to, we don't realize how much it actually comes up. And I'm really just talking about myself here because I mean, I fell for it. When I first decided to make the video on ray gun, I had just seen the memes and I thought it was so funny, but I hadn't done any actual research yet. And when I was talking to my dentist about it, like, oh, like this is my next topic, and I knew he'd know about it because I mean everybody knew about the Olympic breakdancer, and I was explaining to him, oh yeah, it's so funny because she has a whole PhD in breakdancing, and also apparently her husband was one of the judges and she still managed to lose. So yeah, I was over here spreading misinformation too because I didn't know that was a fact. I fell for it. In my mind I thought, okay, even if this isn't true, it still doesn't change the fact that she performed badly, at least in this clip, right? And she still lost either way. So like what? How much would that change? But still, not me being part of the problem. It's like the saying, you aren't stuck in traffic, you are traffic. Like about how individual perception makes us think like, oh, I'm not part of the problem, everybody else is. Which is just funny to think about. Or maybe it's not my fault and really it's Elon Musk's fault for cultivating a platform that amplifies the most engaging content, regardless if it's true or not. Yeah, I like that better. I'm not the problem, it's Elon Musk. That's the lesson, man. Fuck Elon Musk. And Reagan, if you're watching, I hope you at least learned your lesson to, you know, never listen to your husband ever again. That's just crazy how just a clip of your worst moves could lead to all this. That's just crazy. I mean, all right, I guess in a way, we're all Olympic athletes. Well, at least there's like a small % chance that we could, because the Olympics is ran by humans who notoriously are dumb and make mistakes. So what I'm really saying is LA 2028, I'm coming for you. They're adding a couple different sports like flag football, cricket, la crochet. I don't know why that last one was in French. Maybe they just didn't translate it, but you could put money on the fact that I'm already practicing. Can you tell what was the inspiration? And let's just say I always come first. Wait, all right, just kidding. A friend made me this, so I can't take credit. It was just for the joke. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you made it up until this point, let me know in the comments below. If you were delusional, what sport would you qualify for? Also, what's your favorite ray gun move? She just had a list of iconic ones that 100% I'm gonna be showing off at the club. You whip that out at the club and you're gonna be the coolest person there. Personally, mine is the helicopter into the floor combo. That one was crazy because you just know that in her mind, she thought she ate that. The knee sweepers are like a really close second just because how funny they were. But all right, and if you made it all the way here, you could do me a favor and subscribe. You should definitely watch my last video. A lot of people enjoyed. I really appreciated all the comments if you were one of them. But other than that, I'll talk to you guys later.
The first step of the Olympic mindset. No.